And today we are still in the month of renunciation. And I want you to remember to always hold space for renunciation. This is our theme for today. And we talk about holding space, we're talking about a term that I learned in psychology, because there are so many things that happen in our life that can run away from us, that can get away from us. And we do not stop to really hold space for the events that happen in our lives. We don't often take the time to make room to acknowledge and sometimes take ownership and responsibility for the things that happen in our life. And that is part of what renunciation is all about. Renunciation is identifying what no longer serves us, identifying what no longer satisfies us in our world. As we said on the first Sunday, it is weeding the spiritual garden. So, as you go forth in life, you have to make room, you have to hold space in your heart for the things that no longer serve you. You have to hold space in your heart to work on removing those things, blessing them, but removing them. But knowing that there is always a place in your heart for love. But you have to make room for that love. You have to make space for the love of each experience. Make space for the fulfillment that you see happening in your world. Make space to love everything and every experience in your world, knowing that those experiences, as you love them, they love you right back. So always make room for that love. Would you affirm with me? There is always a place in my heart for love. There is always a place in my heart for love. I make room for love. I make room for love. Okay, so now we're starting to clear the way for our renunciation, right? Now we're starting to clear the way, knowing that we are making room for our expecting blessings now. We're making room for our expecting existence now, the life that we want to live, the purpose of our life, but mostly the letting go of the things that we need to let go of. The releasing of the things that no longer serve our greatest and highest good through the faculty of renunciation. We must also realize that to renounce does not mean that you won't miss it, does not mean that you won't long for it. I think about what they call Stockholm Syndrome, where someone is kidnapped or is held by someone and they start to fall in love with the person that held them. And a lot of times we become so accustomed to the way that we're living, to the way that life is shaping out, that we don't want to get rid of those things. But it is okay to realize that even when we try to get rid of negative emotions, negative people in our world, it is okay to miss those things. It is okay to long for those things. But what is not okay to do is keep them in your world. What it's not okay to do is to overlook the toxicity that you yourself bring into the world, that maybe is placed in your world, you had nothing to do with it. It does not mean that you have to keep it in your world. So even if you will miss it, you know that it is for your highest good. Never overlook toxicity in your world. And that is in your relationships and your friends. If you have people in your world that you realize that are not giving you the energy for your highest good, not speaking good into your soul and your spirit, that's toxicity. You do not need that. Your relationships, your friends, marriages, whatever it is, even in your diet, are the things that you're eating, the things that you're drinking, making your body sick. Making your mind think, different things. There are all these things in our world that are toxic, but because we're comfortable with them, we allow them to stay in our world. Today, you have to let those things go. I think about if a house, it's very easy for a house to get mold with no fault of the homeowners or the people that live there. And mold is a living thing, how wonderful. But when we breathe it in, it is toxic to our bodies. So you have to get rid of it. So even though these things are naturally occurring in our world, it does not mean that we have to keep them. It does not mean that it is for our highest good. We have to let go. Now here's the thing. Again, remembering that when we let go, we may still long for those things, but we must realize that renunciation is not about losing. It's not about subtracting. It's not about dividing. We see the changes in our world as though we're losing something, forgetting that God is always adding to our lives. Forgetting that our life is really all about gaining and adding and multiplying. So when things leave, something fills that void. Astronomy teaches us that when a star explodes, it either collapses into a neutron star or it forms a black hole. But whatever happens after a star explodes and is no longer, something still happens. There is still something that has formed in the universe. Philosopher Aristotle once said, nature abhors a void, meaning that every space needs to be filled. So the things that you're getting rid of, you have to know that it's being filled. You have to know that every moment of your life, your time is always filled with something. Your energy, your money is always filled with something. You know, I am grateful that I am able to pay my bills, but it's sometimes one of the most depressing things because you work so hard for the money and then you have to give it away and then your account is dwindling. Now I'm trying to look at it as, okay, this void in my bank account is now here. I'm filling it with love. Even if I can't fill it with actual money right now, I'm filling it with love. There is an energy of love that is in there because nature abhors a void. What is a void to you means that God is waiting to fill you with something. Now, after releasing, what do you fill the space with? That's what you have to understand. That's what you have to think about every day of your life. After letting go, okay, you practice the faculty of renunciation, you're letting go of these things, releasing them from your life. Friends, use the law of nature in your path for survival. Use the law of cause and effect, knowing that as you release negation, you set a cause in motion. Now the effect is that you have cleared the way for more prosperity to enter your life, more love, more peace, more fulfillment to enter your world. But you are the one that has to use the law. You are the one that has to pay attention to your survival. And renunciation is part of your survival. Letting go is part of your survival. So as you let go, know that God is filling your life with more blessings, more goodness, more of all that you can ever dream of. Would you affirm with me, as I release negation, I clear the way for prosperity. As I release negation, I clear the way for love. As I release negation, I clear the way for peace. Last one, as I release negation, I clear the way for fulfillment. All right, so now you're clearing the way, right? Now these words have cleared the way in your consciousness, cleared the way in your mind. The things that you didn't even realize were roadblocks, you see them being cleared right here and right now because the universe wants to increase you. The question always remains, do you want to increase you? Do you want to increase your blessings? Do you want to demand a standard of increase in your health? Imagine having a mindset that demands a standard of increase in health, in prosperity, in love, in fulfillment, in joy, in honor. The older that I get, I realize more and more the types of friends that I want in my life, the type of people that I want in my life, and the ones that I don't. And the older that I'm getting, that's one thing I admired with older people, especially like those who are retired. They realize that they might die soon, so they don't have time to mince words. They say what they have to say to whoever they want to say it to. And the older I get, I'm getting into that mindset. I don't have time to waste with people. I don't have time to waste with places. I don't have time. This life is not a dress rehearsal. This is my life happening in real time, and I have got to set the standard for the things that I want to bring into my life. I have got to demand a standard for health in my world, for prosperity in my world. Friends, as you demand the standard of a higher living now, know that the dream that you have for yourself, what it really is the awakening of the inner God. It is the awakening of the true self. The vision of the inner God waiting for manifestation, waiting for expression in and through you. We have to remember that we are all born in perfection. When you look at kids and how fearless they are, right? Now, we as adults know the danger that they can put themselves in, but they have no fear. Through experiences, though, and we've all been there, we all came out with this perfection, we all came out with this energy of no fear in our world, but through experiences, it has eventually created our pathology, it has eventually created our psychological makeup. In other words, all the things that we've accumulated in our world that have built phobias in our life, fears in our life, right? Doubts, because no baby is born with a phobia. No baby is born scared of clowns or whatever the different phobias are, but it's through experiences that we build our fears, our doubts, our phobias, our worries, our anxieties, our guilt. Somewhere along the line, we lose our courage in ourselves. We lose our faith in ourselves. And the thing is that it doesn't happen with everything. There are some things that we're stronger in. There's some things that we're more confident in, but there's some things that we're less confident in. It just seems like with life, it's not always an even keel of courage and bravery within us. But that is when we have to remind ourselves that we have already been made in perfection. That is when we have to remind ourselves that even though experiences may have caused the phobias and the fears and the doubts and the worries, that it may have knocked us off from having courage and faith in ourselves, the power of our God can bring us right back home. Friends, remember that your vision for a higher life is calling you back to your original self of bravery. The vision that you have for yourself, for your future, is calling you back to your original self of trust, of confidence within yourself. All the things that you were born with, all the faith that you were born with, the bravery, the trust, the confidence, it's still in you, but just buried by experiences, buried by the wrong words, the wrong people, the wrong places, the wrong experiences, and how we translated them. But now, there is something bigger. Now, there is something more for us to experience and live and have in our world. Friends, remember that every disappointment is an appointment to another level of life. Every disappointment is an appointment to another level of life. Now, when we talk about levels of life, we got to look at ourselves as when we have a disappointment, we are entering kind of an elevator of life, right? Now, you enter the elevator after any situation that you have. You can either press the down button and sink yourself into depression and sadness and want and lack and doubt, or you can press the up button, not pretty much knowing what is above you, but knowing that God has something in store for you. Knowing that disappointment only means that God is just preparing another vessel for your good. Can you believe that within yourself? Can you believe that within your spirit? Not looking at disappointment on the human level, but looking at it through the eyes of the inner God. Through the eyes of a prospering God. Through the eyes of a loving and a healing God. Can you look at yourself? Can you expect that when one door closes, more doors are open in your world? God is finding another vessel for your good. So friends, you have to stop believing that you are incomplete in some way. You have to stop believing that you are incomplete in any way. Knowing that whatever you have in your, whatever you have in your world, whatever you are put to do in this world, put to think about, put to face, put to experience in this world, you are strong enough to handle it because it has come into your world for you. Your blessing has your name on it, and everything in your world is the blessing of goodness. Friends, be strong enough to walk away from what isn't the best for you, but be patient enough to wait for the blessings that you deserve. But then the question always comes up as we're waiting for the blessing that we deserve, what do we think we deserve? Do we think that we deserve depression and sadness and heartache and heartbreak and all the things that come along with that? Or do we know that we deserve all the best that God has to give to us? Friends, it is not enough to affirm that we are the best. It is not enough to affirm that we want the best. We have our Christmas shopping list that we're going to do soon, right? And you're writing the things on your Christmas shopping list that you want. When you read over those things, and that's why I love doing it for the many weeks that we do, because when you read over some of the things that you have on your list, you either realize that, yes, this is what I really want, or maybe this is not what I want. Maybe I can add on to this vision. Maybe I can add on to this dream, or take some things out. Maybe the thing that you really wanted is not the thing that is best for you. And so you're able to take this time as you come on to the end of the year to really figure out and decide what it is that you really want for your future. How you see your future shaping out. Not with other people, because you can't control other people. That's one thing about life that we just have to get accustomed to, right? We can't change other people. We can't direct other people on how to live. All we can do is live how we are living. Is be confident in ourselves. So it's not enough to just say and affirm that we want the best. We have to prepare to live our best life. We have to prepare for the best in our world. We have to see that our blessings are cooking in the universe, right? We've sent out our words, we've written them down, we've affirmed, we prayed into the air, we put our fists in the air, we've gone to church after church, affirmation after affirmation, seminar after seminar. The things are already out in the universe. In other words, your vision, your dream is cooking somewhere in the universe. Will you prepare the table? Will you set and prepare the table? Or in other words, will you prepare your heart for the feast that God has in store for you? Will you prepare your mind, your body, everything in your world to experience the great feast of God's blessings? Friends, today, prepare and ready yourself for a life of joy, a life of peace, a life of love, a life of prosperity right here and right now, because that is who you were placed here to live. But you have to believe it. You have to believe that even with depressing situations, there is still something for your highest good. Prepare for it. Ready yourself to experience the good of life and affirm with me, I am prepared and ready for a life of joy. I am prepared and ready for a life of peace. I am prepared and ready for a life of love. I am prepared and ready for a life of prosperity. So get ready for that new love, that new joy. Get ready for that new prosperity. Get ready for more commas in your bank account, whatever you see your prosperity being. For the love of your life, whatever you want to get married, you want to have children, whatever the case may be, right? Well, whatever you want to do. We reach a point where now there's really no age as to when women can't have children now, right? There's so many things going on with the advancement of medicine. When I was growing up, once you turned 35 and you got pregnant, they call that a geriatric pregnancy. But now, I think it was Audrey McDowell had a baby in her 50s. And the baby is quite healthy and and she is still working, right? So we don't have to limit ourselves, or you can adopt. Doesn't matter. Whatever your desire is, you have to think of what your desire is and what you see in your life. Now, it also means that you have to hold on to your inheritance. I want you to remember that your inheritance from God is absolute protection, that wherever you go, you are guided. There is a shield around you that has you safe from harm and danger and lack and want and fear. You have to know that you have an inheritance of love and success. But most of all, the most important inheritance that you have, friends, is the inheritance to create. The inheritance to use the law of cause and effect To speak the words that you want manifested in your life, to speak the words, to plant the seed that you want to see growing in your world. Your inheritance is using the law of the universe to bring what you desire. Again, the question will always remain, what do you think you deserve? What do you believe that you deserve? Let's look at the prodigal son. Now, quick synopsis of the prodigal son story. A man had two sons. The younger son asked for his inheritance and got it and squandered it, and went into a country and squandered it and had a good time. And the country, and this is the most important part to me, the country that he was in fell into famine. And so he became even more in need. He went to live and work with the pigs, because that's the only thing that he could find. And so destitute, he came to his senses. He remembered who his father was and went back to the life that he was meant to live. Went back to the life that was for him. And then when he was coming onto the palace now, his father saw him afar off in the distance and started making plans for a celebration. Now, this is what I love about metaphysics, because we can take the stories out of the Bible and work it and see how we do it in our daily life, how we are the prodigal son for some of the things in our world, right? So, question is, are we using our faculties in the right way? Are we using our inheritance in the right way? Or are we like the prodigal son and say, well, God, I've learned everything I need to learn from you. I've met all the people I need to meet. I've accumulated all the money I need. I'm done. I'm forgetting about God. I'm forgetting about prayer, forgetting about meditation, forgetting about centering myself. So many people do that. So many people don't use the faculties that God has given them, the faith, the love, the strength that is within them, right? All the faculties that we go over for the 12 months. Or they use it in the wrong way. They use it for the wrong reasons, right? We all know that as we speak, as we work towards something, that is what comes into our world. What are you working towards? Are you working towards your highest good? Are you using your inheritance for good? Or are you squandering away your life, wasting time with people and places and things? The next part of it is, how are we using cause and effect? How are we using another part of our inheritance to bring about our good? Like it or not, the prodigal son used his inheritance of cause and effect to be poor, to be in a world that was just sucking his inheritance, his mind, his body, right? Just sucking the life out of his existence, right? Are we using the law of cause and effect to keep negation in our world, to keep being unfulfilled, just like the prodigal son that felt he could do no better? Knowing, that his father had all these things, he just didn't feel that he deserved it. Now, sometimes though, what we think we deserve is based on irrational fears and experiences and thoughts. Sometimes what we think we deserve is because we are comfortable with the situation, so we think that that's all that's going to happen in our lives, that's all that we could ever do and be. Sometimes we are too prideful, which I feel is part of what the prodigal son was going through. He was so prideful that he said, I spent all my inheritance. I couldn't possibly go back and apologize to my father and my brother and, eat humble pie. That's why even in the scripture it says that he was willing to go back to his father and be a servant, not claim or reclaim his rightful place as a child of a rich person. So sometimes we are too prideful. Sometimes we are too ashamed to admit our role in the negative things that come into our worlds, for whatever reason, right? Sometimes people just have so much pride or so much shame. I remember the old people in Guyana used to say the shame face, right? They just do things and they know that it's not right, and so they build the shame in their world. Now, here's the other part of it, though. Sometimes we find ourselves, there's a part of the story where the prodigal son squandered his money and then was in this country, and the country fell into a famine. That's an important part to realize, right? The country that he was in particularly fell into a famine. But his father was okay. The surrounding countries are okay. But sometimes when we think that we deserve lack, when we think that we deserve being poor, when we think that we deserve hatred, when we think that we deserve guilt, whatever it is, we find ourselves attracted to an environment where things are destitute. We find ourselves attracted to people. We bring people in our world that are destitute emotionally, that are so emotionally unavailable, helpless, negatively competitive, and that is the world that we place in our existence. As we portray the energy of ourselves into our world, that's what we pick up. That's what everyone else in our world senses, and that's what we start to live in. That is the land that we begin to live in. But as the story of the prodigal son says, in an instant, we can remind ourselves of our true and right birthright. In an instant, we can remember who we are as a child of a rich father, of a good father. We can hold space for the renunciation. We can hold space for the things that, even though we might be comfortable with it, even though we might be ashamed that we brought these things into our life, we made a mistake, even though we might be feeling destitute and emotionally unavailable, there is a moment that we can hold space in our heart to realize that just as when the prodigal son was going towards his father and the father saw him afar off, the father started to make plans for a celebration. We have to know that as we continue to focus our mind, our body, and all of our fears towards our goodness, there is a celebration waiting for us on the other side. There is a new life. There is the way that we are making room for what we deserve in our world. Make room for yourself. Make room for your life. Know that life has the best in store for you right here and right now, but you have to accept the best. You have to expect the best in your world. You have to know that the best of your future is your birthright. So would you affirm with me? Life has the best in store for me. Life has the best in store for me. Amen. So, I speak the word for you today, friends, and know that you receive it. I speak the word that there is no longer fear anywhere in your existence. That the fear of the unknown is no longer taking hold of you and stopping you from reaching your good and ultimate goal. And I know that you are receiving it. I know that you are accepting it right here and right now. I speak the word for you that the only fear that you have, the only thing from this moment that you will ever be afraid of is not understanding and revealing and expanding your potential in God. Not expanding your God self. That's the only fear that you have. Not being better than you were yesterday or a year ago. Today, in this moment, there is no more fear in you. Today, in this moment, push forward to a life of fulfillment, and fulfillment in every area of your life, meaning health, fulfillment in wealth, fulfillment in joy, fulfillment in love, fulfillment in the desire that you want for yourself. And as you continue to affirm, as you continue to know that it is happening in your world, friends, what a great and wonderful life you are building. You will always be able to hold space for renunciation, knowing that there are some things that grow in your life, those weeds that grow in your spiritual garden that need to be taken out. You have to tend to your spiritual garden every day of your life. And as you do, know that your heart is always open. Your heart is always moved into an energy of fulfillment. Would you affirm this last affirmation with me? In this moment, I am not afraid. In this moment, I am not afraid. I push forward to a life of fulfillment. It is yours right here and right now to receive, to have, to be, to live, to celebrate. Know that wherever you have wandered, whatever you have squandered in your world, God has so much more peace, prosperity, love, joy, energy. God has so much more in store for you, but you have to change your thinking. You have to change what you feel you deserve and hold space in your life for the great things of your world. I love you so very much. Thank you for listening. Be blessed. Amen.